All my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I'm beneath in yesterday. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a Bleeves Crypto podcast number 290. Well, Randy Chavez podcast, I guess, is Bleeves Crypto on markets, AI, government, DEVVE, DEFFINITY, OMI, VeVe official, and a little bit more, whatever he wants to go over. Seabaz, we could both answer this. Seabaz saying second half of 2025, DEVVE exchange was on the roadmap, and it was false info from Ray's side. I'm pissed. So just to kind of correct that there. Yeah, everyone believed that it was on the that it was going to get done. It looked like it was going to get done, but when you have the additional challenge of what's up, Bleeves? How's it going?
Sabnan.
When you have the additional challenge of money's supposed to come in, it was supposed to come in from DevStream, supposed to buy $1 million worth of tokens, and then again it's contractually obligated to come in, and then it didn't come in. That kind of makes things happen where you can't do things at the rate at which you were going to. So it's not exactly that it was false info. It was all scheduled to go, and just stuff happened and it didn't. I don't know if Bleeves wanted to add anything to that, unless you're just kind of getting situated over there.
Yeah, it's getting situated here.
All right, no problem. No problem. So apparently, a buddy of mine said, he texted me this morning. It's like, hey, I figured out why X live stream issue that's been going on lately. It says you can go to your profile and see your icon with the pink live circle. You can find your live stream at the top. I do not find that. I just got a notification for yours, so you should be. Yeah, you are live. You are streaming to the X, but I am not streaming to the X, and I am not 100% sure why. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Oh man, it's just not giving me anything. Oh well, life goes on. I'll find it another way.
Should work natively on StreamYard. You have to log in, you have to have a stream key and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I reset it, reconnected it like you said last time, and then it just was not doing it for me. Yeah, my icon does not show it as pink, which is strange, but whatever. It's all good. How you doing this week? How's your Valentine's Day?
It's good. It was good. It was uneventful. So,
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We have Daniel Delgado saying, I heard NASDAQ went with Linea and ETH. What are your thoughts? As far as what are they going with? I feel like that's half a thought, Dan Delgado, unless you know what he's referencing.
Well, I would assume that he's probably referencing Dev. So he's probably saying that that they're going with some other blockchain or something like that. I don't even know.
But even when we were teased about the partnership with, and again, we don't know, it's not public on which the who the stock exchange was with. We don't exactly know what the actual partnership was. So even if it was with NASDAQ, we don't know if they were running like their transactions. We don't know if they're running like a new website. We don't. So again, and if we don't know that, there's no way that somebody else would know that. So NASDAQ going with Linea and ETH for one thing doesn't mean that they wouldn't go with DEVVE for another. That's even if they're the partner.
Well, you should also go back. We should also go back to square one for what Dev does versus everything else. Linea is T+2, so no institution is going to use T+2. That's ridiculous.
No.
They're going to use T+0 for instantaneous settlement. The only blockchain that does T+0 settlement time is Dev. So, and by the way, because Dev didn't come through when we wanted them to and stuff like that, that means that announcements have continued. A lot of people felt a little bit of nervous sentiment because they were, we weren't getting these big announcements that we were looking for and all of that stuff. So, people are looking for, well, how did they screw it up? And that's the idea that they've got in their brain. So, you know, you really don't have an argument, a good argument for people other than just, you know, either you trust the process or you don't trust the process. If you trust the process, shut up and trust the process. If you don't trust the process, shut up and don't trust the process. I mean, buy more dev or sell your dev. Either way, it's, you know, it's fine. But I told you guys at 5 cents, you better buy some. And not only did it run up to 9 cents right after that, gave you an 80% pump. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. If you, and by the way, this is me also saying that I don't know what's going to eventually happen with dev to begin with. Like, you know, I just trust the process. So, you know, maybe something good happens. I don't know.
So there's seems to be a couple reasons. Obviously, DEVVE was way oversold, but also because of the pairing with ETH. Like, obviously, DEV went down because a lot of people sold, but also the pairing ETH went down a lot, and then ETH rallied. So you have, I don't want to say right, it went up from its low. So obviously,
well,
DEVVE
ETH rally wasn't enough to make a dent in the dev price. This was not. That was not the reason.
The main reason this morning why it went up to 9 cents was because we had someone, and we can go over whose wallet that was eventually, but we had someone that had just yeeted like 13K into it, and it's just like, yep, let's go. We bottomed. So that went up tonight. It did sell back down to about 7 cents. I don't know what it is right now. I haven't checked, but you have that, and that's one person doing a 13K buy that raised it like so much percent. That will happen again and again and again to no avail. Like, that'll continue happening. Maybe from even the same person. Do you want to kind of go over who that was? Or
I have no idea. I have no idea who it was. I don't. I'm not. I'm not one of those wallet tracker people. When somebody asks me what's going on, I tend to tell them what I know based on, you know, whatever pops up or whatever happens. But I should say this: the wallet has $2 million in it, because when the notification happened, it was a fat wallet. So, you know, do you know who it is?
The people in Telegram said it was Roger's wallet, and that's the person who's fairly controversial, where they had a bunch of DEVVE, sold it at some point over the years, and then is now, I guess that was the bottom signal, is him buying, and he's like, okay, he's bullish again. Now it's possible this person did.
Okay, yeah, well, and it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not Roger. Or it is a Roger. Actually, the name associated with it is called Roger Wu.
Oh, okay. Not the DEVVE.
It's not Roger Tremenio. No.
Okay, so who's the
Roger? Doesn't have $2 million to put in to a single wallet right now.
Gotcha.
He'll have it very soon when Honduras settles with him. But, you know, for right now, I don't think he's got an extra wallet with just $2 million laying around in it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So good stuff. That's someone that we didn't know who it is. I haven't checked a lot of. I mean, the dude's got like 6K worth of Pepe. He's got a couple meme coins and stuff in there as well. But yeah, just the 2 million like is very heavy in stable coins, like 1.3, 1.4, and just USDC. There's another stable coin in there that I forget what it was. But yeah, they could go in, and I don't think that's the last time that wallet's gonna buy back.
No, and if you look at the buy was 8.9 cents. So he's going to have a long way to go to profitability. So I would suspect that maybe over the next couple of days, and by the way, I don't know if this means that there's going to be, you know, I don't know if it's going to be a buyer that keeps stepping in, or because otherwise, I think at this point he's, you know, if he keeps buying, then he's he's becoming everybody else's exit liquidity. And I don't think somebody gets a $2 million wallet using that logic. So, you know, I would suspect that when we get a price dip, by the way, we're at the price dip right now, where this is about where we were when he made that first buy. So I suspect we'll probably see another buy come in at some points, you know, just a little shocker here. Person puts in, I would think $30, $40, $50,000 maybe, and then we'll have people that will start to make some people look at it and get a little bit more bullish on what could happen, but it's just speculation, so I don't know.
It's true. There's Will had teased London Stock Exchange on his LinkedIn. It was a post on his LinkedIn. It was from like a couple of weeks ago too. I don't know why people were.
He had a deep. Well, no, it was 2 days. But it was 2 days before.
Was it?
When I got it, it was like 30. It was Friday morning, and it had been posted like 28 minutes after I saw it, or 28 minutes before I saw it. So it was a brand new sort of thing, and he was just talking about. It was alluding to the fact that T+0 settlement, London Stock Exchange, and by the way, if it's not NASDAQ and it was the London Stock Exchange, that's still a huge win for DEVVE, and that turns DEVVE into a crazy thing. Now, I suspect that it's not, but it could be that they're an additional partner or something like that. I really don't know. We did learn a lot today about partnerships and about Ray's ability or lack of ability to get things done. So that was an interesting time.
Yeah. One of the things that he had mentioned was that Ray couldn't bring in any fundraising, and you have this. I don't know if you ever see the movie Moneyball.
Yeah.
Where Jonah Hill's going to Brad Pitt, and he's like, "Hey, you see as losing Johnny Damon as a huge loss. I see Johnny Damon as, the Yankees take him off your hands. Is he worth the $7 million that they're paying him a year?" He's like, "I think absolutely not. I think this opens up a swath of options for you." And it was a good thing that he got let go and he got bought up. So I think the same thing. If he's not, and I don't know what he's getting paid. I don't know what his salary was. And Tom even said, like, we wish him luck wherever he goes. So we're not trying to bash him. But if he's experienced in raising capital for large businesses and he's not in the small businesses and he just couldn't get that job done for, whatever reason, him drawing that salary and not justifying it, now suddenly you can take that salary and reallocate that elsewhere at a time where, I think that opens up a ton of options for him. I think that's silver lining. I think that's really, really bullish, actually.
Yeah. I'm not into, in my business life, I was the vice president before crypto. I was vice president of a collection agency. So I don't have experience in the same context that other people would have in, raising VC money and stuff like that. So like, I can't speak to this, but, and by the way, a lot of people who have said things in chat, like I've looked at their posts and I'm like, that's what I think too. So I believe that, I believe that Ray made a lot of BS comments over time. And I don't think that I don't want to be disrespectful to Ray, but I didn't have a high thought process of him. Okay. I guess that's the best thing that I can say without revealing too much. There was nothing that he said or did that I found to be in any way impressive. The one thing that I did say about him was he seemed like he was super bullish back in December when he was on the stream with Austin talking about, how everything is almost there and stuff like that. But, when you go back to some of the comments that people made last year when he was on stage with Bank Delabach, they were talking about Paul Bureau and saying that he was just great. Like he was, awesome on stage. And then that Ray just looked like a used car salesman. That seems, I don't think that's true, but I understand where people are coming from. He fit way more like a crypto bro than he did a multi-million-dollar venture capitalist guy. You know what I mean? That's the way it felt to me. And that's not to say that he wasn't. It's just, you know, I didn't get the warm, fuzzy feelings that we're in good hands with Ray, like I got the feeling that we're in good hands with Tom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just didn't resonate the same way with me.
Agreed. I have the now sometimes I think there are cases where it should make you feel comfortable with someone like that. As like I'm very good at making deals, and there was this thing last year where we wanted to do an OTC deal, and he was just like, no, we're not doing that at this price. And the price wound up going lower, so that should do me a favor. But he was just like, and you know, if you're supposed to raise money and there's like no discount, it's like, okay, I could just get from the market and be good. And then he's like, and the, I don't say excuse, the reasoning was like, well, listen, I could get the price up to $1 tomorrow if I wanted to. And I was like, I'm sure you could. And I guess that was that seemed to be his reason for a little bit not wanting to do stuff with tokens, because he felt like he was giving away, if you get it at 30 cents a token, you're actually, and let's say you do a $30,000 deal, you're actually doing like a $100,000 deal for 30K. But yeah, there was like there's no give, there was no negotiate. It was just like his way or not. And again, sometimes you do want that in a CEO. Like a lot of times, you know, they're either doormats or matadors, and he was definitely a matador. But you can be too much of one thing, which I think he was. And with Tom, I feel like he could wear both hats.
Well, it's the thing.
The
same thing he did to me. He told me that he didn't want to do any partnerships because he didn't want to give me $100,000.
No.
You know, because you know my fee was $2,500 a month, and he was like, I just feel like I'm giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars every month for doing it. And I'm like, whatever.
So yeah, Tom, I think because he has both, he can wear both hats. He knows the tech better than anyone else, like than anyone else. And then he also he's raised money over the years, so he just kind of knows when he can say stuff, when to shut up, when to let other people talk. He's very good at that.
He's also a crypto bro. Yeah. He's also a crypto bro, at least, and a degen. Most people don't know, but he's a degen. So, yeah, he's a fan of cryptocurrency in ways that Ray just simply was not.
Hell yeah. So there's a little bit of action on the fiat token as well. I mean, not today. I mean, today is down like 5. Everything's down, right? But we were like less than a week ago at under $1 million market cap at one point. I'm cherry picking data here. That it only went under $1 million for like a half a day, but now it's up to 2 million. There was at one point, a lot of people think like the flippening would happen where fiat would be valued more than DEVVE, and that very well could have happened if fiat went up and DEVVE kept continuing going down. That did not happen, but why do you think there's been such a turnaround on fiat? Do you think it's because this is where a lot of Tom's attention is? Do you think this is because AI tend to be valued a lot more than blockchain, and that's like the new kind of buzzword?
No. Last week, I told everybody that they better buy some fiat, because every time it hits 1 cent, it bounces super hard to 2 cents, and it's done that historically over and over and over again. And I said, there's just it's going to end up doing it again. So I was telling anybody who would listen, when we hit 0.008, I'm like, you know, load your bag up with fiat, because it's going to have an epic run. And as far as AI goes, we're not going to have, so it doesn't really, we're a small bubble. Nobody knows about fiat except for us. So, you know, we're not attracting new investors. I'm not putting out promos. You're not putting out promos. We're not doing anything to attract new people into the fiat ecosystem. So it's just us. So ultimately, I don't think that it's going to move with the market, or it will with the pairing of Ethereum a little bit. We'll see some, you know, we'll see some upside because of that. But, you know, really, there's nothing too much going on other than people who are traders that are trading on this chart, and there are some of those. So that's what I think is happening right now, that, you know, we're having that little downward momentum right now, and we've had that over and over again before the next impulse move, and it could come down to like 1.5 cents, maybe even a little bit lower. And then I think it's going to surge. It'll do that final surge to about 2 cents, 2.5 cents, and then that'll be, then it'll come back down, and we'll probably do a penny again.
Things that you can count on most times. I feel like a lot of times, up until last year, like 9 out of the 11 Februarys beforehand, we were just printing positive green candles on the monthly for Bitcoin. And then we had only had like 2 negative months in like the history of Bitcoin for February. And then last year, boom, down 17%. And then this year, boom. So I feel like a lot of times it's a pattern until it isn't. So sometimes you can rely on it for years. Other times get hacked.
It's a pattern until it can be openly exploited.
Yes.
And that's what's happening right now. It's openly it's being openly exploited. If you were to ask, like, for example, if you were to ask Jane Street, or you were to ask Wintermute, or one of those big market makers who's been dumping on the charts. And by the way, Coinbase has been dumping on the chart too, and so has Binance. But they also saved crypto back on October 10th. So at what point do they have to, I mean, if you go back and you look at what happened on October 10, you saw Wintermute dumping billions of dollars worth of crypto. They bought back about $1 billion on that day. And then you saw Binance buying a bunch of Bitcoin. You saw Coinbase buying a bunch of Bitcoin. They were trying to protect the price. They were trying to protect their investors. They were trying to protect everybody. So at what point, because they're not traders, at what point do they have to sell their crypto? And they can't just hold it forever. That makes no sense. So I think that, what we've been watching this, and we've been hearing people talking about Coinbase. Every time Coinbase sells, every time Binance sells, everybody's like, they're dumping on us. They're dumping on us. Well, they didn't mind when you were buying and saving the price for them either. You know what I mean? So I don't respect people who are short-sighted like that. Those are the broke ass people who aren't going to make it anyway, because they don't understand how the cycles in the markets are working. So, every major exchange started buying Bitcoin to protect their investment, to protect their price. But now they're being forced to sell because it makes no sense for them to take. Look, if you have $1 billion to buy Bitcoin and Bitcoin dips to $70,000 and now you only have 700 million, that was $700 million that you had that was profit anyway. Even Brian Armstrong the other day came out and said, like, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he basically said it was stablecoin yields is what the conversation was about. The banks don't want any stablecoin yield. And Brian Armstrong came out and said, zero stablecoin yield helps us tremendously because it just makes us a bunch of money. We make a ton of money already. This would just make us a bunch more money. And the bank seems to think that us making a whole bunch of money is somehow good. But it's not. We give back all of this money to investors. Like, this is, the amount of money that we make is just insane. Like, he's even admitting how much money that they make hand over fist. And, these guys, they propped up the charts. They tried to protect it, and they're slowly selling to get back to where they were before October 10 to let the market makers start to kind of take over again. So, and by the way, they provided hundreds. If you just consider it this way, if you just assume that Binance bought $1 billion and Coinbase bought $1 billion at around, by the way, it was $100,000 is where their buys were. So if you consider that they're selling at about 70,000 right now, they donated $600 million to the liquidity of the markets. So anybody who's shitting on them at this point, other than me, is just wrong.
So there's, I guess there's another thing I want to talk to you about. When does the selling end? Does it end when the crypto structure bill passes? Does it end when Jerome Powell gets out? Does it go beyond that? And, everyone's thinking that when those two things happen, then we'll have this K-shaped recovery. But what if it keeps going down after that? What do we get down to? 50, 35?
Yeah, I mean, you really kind of have to, what's the worst case scenario for crypto? And, you know, the worst case scenario is if you were to consider between the bear market of each cycle, we're already there. I mean, we're already there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Way down.
How bad can it get? I mean, the one thing to consider is we've had 2 massive liquidation events in the last 4 months. We've had 2 massive liquidation events, and they've been bigger than any liquidation or 3. I'm sorry, there's 3 major liquidation events. They've been the 3 largest in history.
What were the in October? Then the one like a few weeks ago. When was the one in the middle?
Right, and then there was another one which was in the middle of November when we saw. Here, I'll show you that. I'll show you the charts here.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the third one. October is very clear, and so is the.
Well, the hard part on this is because we want it to be like in a few moments so that we can see it and we can analyze it. And we can say that it's right here. I can see it. But you had this massive event right here. This was when this is October 10 when Wintermute absolutely dumped on the market. Then you had November 10th. From November 10 until what is this? December to the end of November. Gotcha. All of November, this happened right here. Then a couple days ago, you had this event happening over here, which of course ended up all the way down here. But look at the size of those dumps. The Wintermute dump was the biggest ever in a single day. November was one of the biggest in a single month, and so was January. So, you know, ultimately, just they've destroyed and hacked the market to pieces. And by the way, I say that in that context because liquidity is an issue and it looks worse now, but it was the same level of sell-off that was happening on each and every one of these tranches. It's just that Wintermute did theirs with no shame and they did it immediately. And then, you know, the rest of the markets started to then price in the 4-year cycle being over, the lack of the Clarity Act. There's a lot of different pieces that just haven't fallen into place along the way. And because you have far less liquidity because of Wintermute right now, each one of these dumps is probably about the same amount as Wintermute, but it just looks bigger because it took a longer period of time and there's less liquidity. So the level of the crushing level of downward momentum is a lot harder to bear when there's a thinner liquidity pool. Now, it does speak to a lot that there was some. Let me see if I can. It'll take me a second here to go find this real quick. Boom, boom, boom.
What is your background?
Nope.
Is that the Aether from?
It's an AI generated. I generated a bunch of these a long time ago.
AI takeover. Let's do.
I keep seeing major crypto analysts saying sellers are exhausted, but the price keeps going down. Where are they getting their data from that says sellers are getting exhausted? That was the question that I asked Grok. Grok then comes back with realized losses, and it gave me a breakdown of exactly where all the data comes from that shows. These come from platforms like Glassnode, Sentiment, or Dune Analytics, which track blockchain activity to gauge investor behavior. Key indicators for seller exhaustion includes realized losses. Glassnode's seller exhaustion constant combines 30-day price volatility with the percentage of supply in profit to signal exhaustion when both are at extremes, which they are. Short-term holder behavior tracks coins held for less than 155 days. When the STH lock in heavy losses, it indicates recent buyers are dumping, but exhaustion shows when this cohort selling volume tapers off. And then supply in profit loss and seller energy. Fidelity's analysis links low volatility with seller energy. So from charts, from charting tools, you have the RSI, which shows that it's grossly oversold. We know that. We look at that on the high time frames, and we see a huge amount of weakness on the RSI, meaning that we are oversold right now. Then you have the volume analysis, which is declining volume on price drops, means that sell pressure is starting to weaken. Then you have tools like the MACD or Bollinger's, which all show exhaustion via momentum divergences. So failed breakouts or shallow continuations, support levels and wicks, capitulation events. So why does price sometimes keep dropping despite these signals? There are probabilistic tools. Exhaustion doesn't guarantee an immediate reversal. It might take time for buyers to dominate or external factors. And the one thing to remember is the 4-year cycle bros started to sell off on Bitcoin, and everybody who has some Bitcoin who doesn't see the pump. Remember a lot of us as investors, we buy something for $1,000 and it goes down to $800 and we get nervous, and then we don't want to sell, but then it pumps up to $900 and now we're motivated to sell at $100 loss just to get back some of what we had before, because we're not feeling the market. Doesn't matter whether we're right or wrong, it's how we feel. And emotional traders step in and they continue to sell because they've made a profit, or they're taking their loss, or they're just in a bad state and they can't afford the mental anguish or whatever it is that you go through when something like that happens. So, you have so many different reasons for people to be sellers that you have to let the sellers sell so that the buyers can finally start to step in. And don't forget, if we go to 68,000 on Bitcoin and we get billions of dollars worth of buys on Bitcoin at $68,000, well, it's going to run up to 71 or 72,000, right? Well, people are going to take profit along the way. Leverage buyers are going to take their profit and they're going to sell and they're going to dump on the charts. Once you've reached your break-even point, or once you've reached your profit point, or wherever it is, you're going to be motivated to sell. So then new buyers are going to have to step in, because you, the buyer who bought the dip, is now becoming the seller who's selling the rip. So, you just have to have new buyers stepping in. The Clarity Act is going to be something that'll give a lot more people access to capital that they're going to put into assets. But I think what we need to do before worrying about the Clarity Act, which we should, is worry about gold. Gold is where the money went.
Yes.
Silver is where the money went. This is where all our money ended up going.
And then where did it go after it went back down? Because it went up crazy, all-time highs, and then they both kind of got squashed a little bit. Still, obviously up from where they were.
So where did that rotate? Right here, Dow Jones. Dow Jones all-time high.
No, isn't part of the reason the Dow Jones and the SPY are all-time highs because the dollar's at 4-year lows?
Well, that's the reason that people are getting out of just holding and doing Forex trading. That's why people are not holding on to dollars, and they're holding on to other assets for their valuation and appreciation. So, gold is going to appreciate, silver is going to appreciate, Dow Jones is appreciating, the SPY is appreciating. The one thing that's not is crypto. Yes. Everything else is doing okay. Not great, but okay. If you look, by the way, I got a new indicator here. It's not, by the way, it's not the greatest indicator, but it was me kind of looking at seller exhaustion. And look how accurate this thing is. When it gives you a green circle, it feels like there's profitability. When it gives you a red circle, it feels like there's profitability on the downside. And look how perfect this thing plays out.
Yeah, that was.
It came all the way down here. It minted green, and then we ran back up. Ran back up.
Yeah.
Then we got a red one, and all you had to do was reverse your position. Boom. Then you got that down there. You didn't get any other signal here, but then it ran back up and it said do it again. Then you got a buy signal here, and you ran it up again. Then you got another one. You didn't get the dip signal here, but you got another buy signal here. Like, when you get these signals, just trade them. Just trade them. And by the way, don't worry about trading up to the top of the range. Trade to where you're comfortable. But this is called the exhaustion. What's it called? LELEDC exhaustion bar. It just tells you when buyers and sellers are exhausted. This is the 4-hour chart, by the way. If you look at it on the daily was telling you yesterday it's time to sell. What was I telling you yesterday? I was doing the same thing, because what I said was, matter of fact, I just put out a video a little while ago because I was talking about this, and it was an important thing, because I bought Tau at 100 and oh my God, $140. I bought Tau at $135 or $136. I bought Tau at $136. Tau went to $195. No, 146, not 136, 146. I bought Tau at 146, and then it started running. And I said, you know, when it goes up into this 200 range, I am selling. I don't care. I'm getting out. And what did it do last night? Ran up there. So I made my money. Same thing for ICP. I bought ICP down here at like $2 and this little white line right here, $2.32, and it ran up to $2.59 last night. So, and it triggered my stop. It triggered my take profits fully. And now I just got back into the market because I took the profit on both of those trades. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I got liquidated for $3,600, which sucks. But I put 1,000 back in, and now it's 1,600. Not sure I'm going to save it, but you know, I'm clawing it back right now.
When you go in and you take profits on it, do you put it into fiat? Do you keep it as stables? Do you just buy Bitcoin? Okay,
no,
so it's
I because I trade on Bitcoin too. So I put it back into stables because I want that value to be the same. If everything goes down, then historically everything else goes down more than Bitcoin, but stable coins stay $1. So always convert to stable.
Agreed. Agreed.
Follow your Bitcoin.
I got a tiny bit more Definity recently, and it's I missed it when it was at just under a penny. Was able to get it at like 1.2. That's where it is now. It went up to 1.3. I don't know where the bottom is. When we do have this bottom, whenever, and some people are saying like October, eventually when we do have it, either between here and October, could be later, we could have already had it, I don't know. Are altcoins going to stay the same? Because we've already gone down like an insane amount. Is it just Bitcoin and ETH in the top 10 that are going to go down? Is it going to take everything else down with it? What do you see?
Obviously it's hard to say. But when we're talking about seller exhaustion and we're talking about the fact that the sellers are not there anymore, that were there before, that means a reversal is going to be imminent. The question is, in the trading range, can we get above that? And I got a green line up there at like 2.1 cents for Definity. That's what we're looking for it to break above, right? Same thing over here with Bitcoin. To reestablish positivity right there, that target is 107,355. That's when we're going to be bullish again. And it'll be above. Well, yeah, it'll be 97,000. Well, let me go back here. Let me redo this again because my brain is not fucking working right. All right, let's go back. We're at 68,610 right now. To get bullish again, we need to break this trend right here, which is 86,000. If we break 86,000, then that rally is back on. The reason for that is because this is the volume range. This is where, you know, we start to zoom out. This is where your volume node is. This is between this area right here, between 91 and 86. That's where Bitcoin wants to be, or that's where, you know, we need to be for Bitcoin to start to rally, to really rally. So the question is just going to be like, do we have new buyers stepping in? And right now, the answer to that is kinda, but we still have sellers. So we haven't exhausted the sellers. So until they're exhausted and they stop dumping, and by the way, we're not sure, you know, exactly when that is. And that changes for everybody every day. You know, there's metrics that people are using, that some metrics that they use are going to say, you better sell right now because, you know, somebody else is going to dump even further. And don't forget, I know that most people don't know this, but there's a couple of Bitcoin whale chats where you have to have 1,000 Bitcoin to get in, and you have to prove it. And then they coordinate what they do in these markets, and they hunt people. And when I say that, understand what hunt means. They are head hunters. They are looking. They will go to Binance and they will all move a bunch of Bitcoin in there, and they will dump on the open market just to liquidate people, to get that money back into the market. And then they will buy that dip, and then they will hold it while the market heals itself. And then they'll take that profit one more time along the way. And by the way, don't forget, in addition, not only, and by the way, here's the other thing. Not only would one of these guys take 500 Bitcoin and put it onto the exchange in order to sell and drop the price, they would use 2 or 3 Bitcoin to short the market before they do it, so that at the end of it, they've made a nice tidy profit off of it by dumping and shorting this market like crazy. So there's a lot that goes into these shady devils doing this shit.
Whale games. Maybe we can be, I don't even know if I got invited. I feel like that's like a one step away from like the Epstein stuff, where it's like, yeah, you know, what do you do with the profit? Like, I don't know if I want to be in any of those groups.
There's plenty of noble people. There's plenty of good people that hold a lot of Bitcoin, stuff like that. When you get to a certain level, I mean, I suppose that, you know, there was somebody who told me a joke one time. It was, and I don't really, I guess maybe it wasn't even a joke. It was just like, you know, when you're 15, 16, 17 years old and you're having your first relationship with a woman or guy, whatever, you know, you just like that. Then you get a little bit of experience and it takes a little bit longer. Then you get into your late 20s, 30s and stuff like that. And now you're you're banging it out because now you're a superstar. And then all of a sudden you start to get a little bit older, and the things that turned you on before suddenly don't turn you on anymore. And now the things that used to make you excited, you get bored with over time, and you need new excitement in your life. And that's when things go wrong. When you start to get into that, for some people, it's not like that. You know, most people are going to be happy, happy, happy. Just have a woman paying attention to you is going to make you happy, happy, happy. But for some of these guys, you know, imagine this. Imagine that if you've ever been into like an adultish chat or seen one on X, I've seen these things where these women are like, you know, trying, and they farm you to try to get you to pay attention to them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then what do you see these guys? What are these guys posting? Sell your socks. What the did you just say? What? You know what I mean? Like, and then the ladies will have an interview and they'll be like, "Yeah, you want me to kick him in the nuts? That's the only way that he can get off." There are some very weird people out here, and it's my estimation that some of these people, that's, you know, once you get up at a certain level and money is no longer an object for you, I think, you know, fundamentally for people, some people, the way they think about things just changes.
I guess. I don't know. I've been, so if I'll make a different allegory. Let's say, you know, the first time that you're intimate with a woman, let's say you're like starving, and even the first time it's like, okay, buttered toast. It's like, yes, I'll eat that because one, it's good, but two, because like you'll eat anything, right? And then as you get older, your tastes become a little more refined, and you prefer someone with that just, it's not just a hole, it's not just a pair of legs. It's like, okay, you have standards, you have a lot more options. And listen, I love Mexican dishes and Italian dishes and Greek dishes, like all of these types of dishes, but I'm a simple man, and I will still eat buttered toast because that shit slaps every time. And I know I'm getting a little far away with this, but I guess I'm lucky like that. I don't need to have anything. Like I'll take the spices and everything, all that. Like that's cool. Like I'll do anything once, most things. But yeah, no, regular buttered toast. I'll just, yep. You can just be super vanilla, and I'll still be into it.
Yeah. It's just weird. It's just, you know, there's just there's deviance. You know what I mean? There's just deviance in the world.
There are.
And you know, I don't know what to say other than that.
But this is how we how we get women. By we go out, we make a lot of money, become super successful, take start a YouTube channel, and then become someone. How do you have any experience with reverse mergers?
No.
Okay. There's the VeVe company that I cover a lot. They have this reverse merger. They're technically being acquired by this company called ORKT, but the owners of VeVe are going to take control of that company. So they basically get listed on the NASDAQ without getting listed on the NASDAQ. And I don't know what to make of it. It seems very bullish because they're going to get a light shown on them. It'll be great for their OMI token. It'll be great for their collectibles. We're going to finally see how much the company's actually worth, what they have in the war chest, etc. OMI might have they might have like an OMI reserve or OMI treasury. And I've talked to David about getting a Definity treasury because Manu from Definity, they have OMI on their balance sheet. So I'm trying to get David to get Definity on their balance sheet as well, so that this way we can they can have a Definity treasury also. I would like that very much. Anyway, speaking of the Definity, what has your eyes been telling you about that? Any news? We do have a little bit to go over in private on that, but also on the have you seen anything of significance from their X or from the buying or selling now? Okay, yeah.
No, just kind of waiting for, you know, like I said before, I think it was I mean, I don't even want to say it was a misstep because I don't know what their agreement was. So I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we'll go over that at some point. I'm just going to go and someone has reposted this stream, so I'm going to finally be able to share it and requote, be like, thanks for coming out. Come ask us anything. And then we'll do the stuff here. I don't know why this has it all the time. Why it makes me not do that. Anyway, we've got the, all right, markets, governments. Okay. We were all kind of celebrating in November of 24 because, hey, Trump's here, is going to be good for crypto, and long term I still think that might be the case, but short term has been god awful, and I think Republicans get absolutely smashed in November in the midterms. There's talk about him doing things to try to get back in favor, turning the money printers on, raising minimum wage, falling back with the ICE stuff a little bit, going back to surveying and not really doing these raids. If the Democrats do walk in and they just sweep the polls in November, what do you think that does to crypto? Would they reverse any legislation that Trump had put in or that had been passed already? It's clear that even with a conservative Congress, like out of all the stuff that Doge found, like very little has been done to actually cut a lot of these things. So what are your thoughts on how midterms can affect crypto, even if this legislation is passed that we want?
I don't think it matters that much because, well, I mean, there's obviously party differences and disagreements between parties about, you know, what we fundamentally want to do. But ultimately, most of the Democrats that are on the ag committee and the banking committee, they're all into crypto. So crypto is inevitable. So the question really is how deep something might go. Remember, the problem right now is not Democrats. The problem is banks. If it were not for banks, we would already have the Clarity Act. The banks do not want stablecoin yield. So the question is whether Democrats will, first of all, whether they will win. And don't count Donald Trump out, or don't count Republican Party out just yet, because we always feel like there's going to be a change in tide or a change in the air. And, you know, we can always feel it kind of, but we're not in a typical election sort of cycle here. We have two large cults that are controlling everything right now. So I imagine, if you will, we're getting we're running in this election and it looks like, Donald Trump's got some people that are going to lose, or that Donald Trump isn't motivating people to support the Republican Party for whatever reason, Donald Trump will give whatever he thinks it takes. The one thing that Donald Trump does better than every Democratic candidate is he finds coalitions.
Yeah.
If you back up here and you say, well, why did Donald Trump win? Well, he went out and he attracted the crypto bros by saying he's going to be the crypto president, which is a small coalition, but a necessary coalition of voters. Then he went out to the Hispanics who are sick of their cousins coming all the goddamn time and overstaying their welcome, and said, hey, I'll keep those fucking people out too. So they're not gonna be showing up for Thanksgiving and then staying for a year. We're gonna kick them out. And guess what? People were like, you know what? We like that. Then he was also great at messaging. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Were they? No. Does the truth matter? No. As a matter of fact, I was watching a thing today where Donald Trump was talking to a reporter, said, well, this is the data that's on your website that says this and this and this and this. And he said, well, that's not true. Next question. And the guy's like, sir, you just said, and he's like, quiet.
It's on his website.
The president is talking. How fucking dare you question me? You know what I mean? He was lying right there on stage. They caught him in the lie, and all he did was say, be quiet, and pivoted to somebody else. And you can't do anything about it. So I think that the messaging will get back on track at some point soon. I think that it should be clear. It should be clear to everybody. If immigration is very important to you, you need to vote Republican. The end. If immigration is your bellwether, then you're going to vote Republican. So now it's what coalitions can they get together? And just because, just because Democrats are right now in vogue doesn't mean that some ridiculous stuff isn't going to happen in the next couple of months. One of the things that I think Donald Trump will do is press ICE into bigger cities one more time for one more round. And they will be instructed, no engagement, to do it the right way, to prove that it works the right way as we get towards that election cycle. And then guess what? If it works, what do you have to argue with? A bunch of old stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like that won't resonate with the middle of the pack voters. And in the event that you can start to actually cut some real prices, and he's been a colossal failure at that so far. But part of that is because of the tariffs and because of corporate greed. Donald Trump hasn't done anything to fix a lot of the problems that he said that he was going to fix. But also those problems take a little bit of time. So what if the tariffs suddenly start to, what if the what is it, $300 trillion or 900 million billion jillion? I don't know what number Donald Trump uses by day. Okay. But there's more money coming into the United States than exists in the world, according to Donald Trump, right? I don't know when that money will actually show up, but what happens when it starts to show up? What happens when Toyota starts to hire people? What happens when, some Apple says we're going to make an iPhone here, or, some other company, whatever it is? What happens when those jobs start to appear? So I don't think we should write in Democrats just yet. But also Donald Trump is going to have to actually put in the work and actually pay attention to the American people, and not just the ones that hate people based on the color of their skin or whether or not they got here in the way that they wanted or not. That's not going to be something that he's going to win on. That's something that he's just going to keep his own cult happy with. And then the other cult is just going to be unhappy no matter what. So, there's just pieces that need to fit into place, and he'll fit those pieces into place better than the Democrats, I think.
There's actually a rumor around DC now saying that international adoptees that were adopted before the year 2000 will be on the list of citizenship review, which is me. So I might be. I don't know where they'd send me because they made me give up my Peruvian citizenship to join the military. So I don't know where they'd send me. I don't belong to anywhere else.
Trump
But
and Melania coins sucked all the liquidity out of altcoins. The Trump and Melania meme coins did not suck all the liquidity out. They had, at best, they made a couple of millionaires, but that's it. It's not. It's just absolutely not true. It was a bad look, but guess what? After Trump and Melania, after all those pumps and stuff like that, Bitcoin still ran to 127,000 going into the end of last year. So that's not true. It's true that it wasn't great for crypto, that it was a bad look. And, it's a sad state of affairs to know that your president stole money from you. Like, you've got to at least be like, if you're sitting there right now and you're saying to yourself, no, that's okay, there's something broke in your brain and you're one of those cult people that I'm talking about. Okay. It's not cool when the president of the United States or his wife steals from the American people whose job it is to serve and protect. That's disgusting. Okay. So it's not cool what they did, but it's also not sucking all the liquidity out. It's not even close. There's plenty of money to go around. I mean, if you just look at where we are right now, we're at 2.3 trillion. Didn't have shit to do with Trump. Didn't have shit to do with Melania. It had everything to do with Wintermute, Jane Street, and Bitcoin.
That is a good point. We've got Trump still, actually, I thought for a minute he might have been out of the top 100, but his number 76 on the CoinGecko, so still with $800 million market cap, which is insane.
Well, remember, so just so everybody understands, that is your get out of jail slush fund. So Justin's son was under investigation. He bought a bunch of coin. He's no longer under investigation. CZ Binance was in prison. CZ Binance bought a bunch of Trump coin. CZ Binance got a full pardon, is no longer in prison. Ross Ulbricht bought a bunch of Trump coin, got released from prison and full pardon. If you buy Trump coin and you support Donald Trump, you get a full pardon. This is pay for play. Now, everybody in America should be disgusted by that. But there's plenty of things for you to be disgusted at from the Democratic Party too. So if you are disgusted by it, then you still have to ask yourself, is it worth me switching my allegiance? Do I want higher taxes? Probably not. Do I want more immigration? Probably not. So it doesn't change your party affiliation just because there's this one thing that you don't like. So don't like it, but at least understand that was disgusting. He stole $1.4 billion from Americans. The end.
There's do we know where that money went? Like the wallets that it went to and where the owners of those wallets and what they wound up doing with it? I don't know if anyone.
Well, I mean, it's on the blockchain, so sure. I mean, we know enough. I mean, yeah. I'm sure Barron made a ton. I'm sure Eric made a ton. I'm sure Don Jr. made a ton. I'm sure World Liberty Financial made a ton. I'm sure that the places that were supposed to make a bunch made a bunch. That Trump Insider Wallet, I can't remember what the guy's name was. The Trump Insider Wallet, I'm sure it made a ton of money off of it. The insiders got rich off of the American people, and the American people got screwed. But again, if you don't like immigrants or you don't like the way our immigration policy is, that shouldn't be a deal breaker for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, you have to consider the sum total and not just look at one thing, because then all you're doing is just playing gotcha. And the reason that Democrats were playing gotcha before was because it used to work. It doesn't work anymore because Donald Trump is good at playing gotcha. He's even better at playing gotcha than Democrats are. So, they're out here talking about stupid shit, and he's out here saying, well, yeah, but they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
On the end of that,
and then he's faking his own assassination.
Yeah. And you could probably find like the one or two examples that exist in the last 5 years where, okay, yeah, people are eating this. And then it's like, obviously that doesn't speak for everyone in that culture, but yeah. Polymarket has a 5-minute up or down bets. You have AI that's trading these bets now, and we're having like a little war here on which AI is better, and they're basing it on who's better at Bitcoin going up or down in the 5-minute lengths. What do you make of all that? Is that something in general that you think should be regulated? Is that something that should be taken away, or at least make it so that only certain people with a certain amount of funds can do it? Just your thoughts on all of that, the bets on Polymarket, AI being used for that in general.
Well, I think it's horrible. I think Polymarket and Kalshi have killed crypto. That they've had a hand, they've got their hands on one of the knives that's stabbing crypto in the back. But ultimately, this is America. We should be free to make those kind of stupid choices. Roy G says, is there a tattoo on the side of your head, Bleeves? No, that is actually, I cut half of my head off this morning shaving. So I have a, the fuck is it called? I have a skateboard Band-Aid on my head.
So
anyway, we're in America. We should be free. We should be free to be stupid people and be idiots. And Donald Trump is doing a good job of making sure that idiots are able to be idiots. So we should just leave it at that. And I think it should be regulated. I think there should be accountability if things are abused. But at the end of the day, I think we should, as Americans, be free to do whatever it is we want to do. Agreed. That's kind of the foundation and the principles of America.
There was this is going back like 15 years ago in New York, there was a soda ban where the governor at the time wanted to ban
64 ounces were banned. Yeah.
And then I was like, no, like I don't even drink soda. And I was like, if I want a 64-ounce soda, like I should be able to buy a 64-ounce soda. Like you give government a little bit of power, they never take it back, and they always try to grab more. So I agree. But could you defend why you think that Kalshi and Polymarket and all this are stabbing crypto in the back, and how they're preventing other people from investing in crypto, and just your thoughts on why you think they have?
Yeah, they're not preventing people. They're not preventing people. They're making it easier for you to gamble. At its heart, crypto, meme coins, stuff like that, it's a gamble.
Yeah,
I've never considered myself a gambler. I have reasons where I do not gamble. I have reasons for myself where I don't gamble. Investing is not gambling. There's risk. So you are risking money, but it's not a gamble. I'm guessing on a direction that the market goes on leverage trading. I would say leverage trading is a gamble. Buying a crypto is not necessarily the same as gambling. Again, it's just it's investing 101 on a newer type of asset. Kalshi and Polymarket have basically scalped the crypto market because, and this happened at the same time, by the way. It's not one of the big things, but it is a thing. Remember 6 months ago or a year ago, how many meme coins were popping up every single day and how they were running up to these high ass numbers?
Yeah, pump fund is wild.
And it's dead. It's dead right now. Why? Because all of the people there were the degen gamblers that were throwing $100 at every meme coin and trying to get a win. Well, guess what? They found out all they have to do is throw $100 at yes or no with a deadline. And if they're right, they win $150, or they win $200, or they win $300. So it was easier for them to go there and gamble. It was just easier for people to go over there. And by the way, in defense of Kalshi and Polymarket and Coinbase, it gives you finality in your transaction. You don't have, I mean, remember, sometimes you buy $100 worth of something and it takes you 6 months just for it to go back to $100.
Yeah.
Sometimes you buy it and it goes 10x and you made $1,000 and you feel like a champ and you put that 1,000 in something else and it goes down to $100 before you know it. And you're right back where you started. So all of those things being summed up, Kalshi and Polymarket and Coinbase just made it easier for you to gamble. That's all. That's what they did. And these prediction people, they found it, and that's what's happening right now.
There's did you hear about the bet? I guess there's two bets. One of which was just the normal, hey, this guy put his like life savings of like 33 grand on the Seahawks to win. He winds up clearing 15K. Cool, good for him. There's another dude that puts a bet on whether there would be not a streaker, it was someone running onto the field at the Super Bowl, and he bets a lot on it. And he himself was at the Super Bowl. He himself ran on the field, so he locked in that bet. He paid his $1,000 fine, and he was. So I don't know. I feel like there's also a lot of, because it's not regulated, it's not a security. So if somebody is on what do you call it? If they're betting right now, will Bleeves and Chavez podcast go for 2 hours, and suddenly there's like $8,000 in bets, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna be like, yeah, 100% we're gonna go for 2 hours, and I'll bet $10,000 on it. Why? So I could go for 2 hours and lock it in. You do have there's freedom, but then there's also like, hey, some people are being taken advantage of. There's these sharps, and they're taking advantage of everyone else.
Yeah. At some point, we'll have to regulate it. I mean, at some point, it needs to be regulated. There has to be. There has to be regulation in crypto. There has to be regulation in everything. It doesn't mean that you don't have access to it. It just means that that there has to be laws. I mean, look, imagine football with no rules.
That'd be wild.
Right. I mean, imagine baseball with no rules. There are rules that you have to follow in order to make something do something. So, you have to do that. So,
agreed.
There's going to be regulation. And by the way, it can't be the Wild West like it is right now. But I mean, crypto can't be the Wild West like it is right now either. So Daniel asked a question though: how do you feel about voter ID and proof of citizenship? I think that first of all, I think voter ID is stupid. But why? You should have an ID to begin with in order to vote. You shouldn't have a voter ID, or you shouldn't be required to have a voting card or voter ID. Okay. You should be able to use your driver's license. Now, the other thing is, there should be, in my opinion, you should be able to get at least one free ID every, say, 3 to 4 years or something like that. Some kind of identifying document free from the government so that you are able to do whatever it is that you need to do. But I mean, here's the thing, at the end of the day, when we talk about when it like let's say I'm MAGA and I'm like, you gotta have an ID in order to vote, because otherwise then you're going to be somebody else, and then it's going to be, and then they just go into just going to click, and then if they do that, then it's going to just be really weird, or whatever stupid shit you say in your head. I don't really know how your brain works. I just assume it's unfunctional mostly. But the answer to that is, when you walk in there, you have to give your information to vote. You don't just walk in as a warm body and start pressing buttons. You have to tell them who you are. In my state, you have to show them ID to begin with to get in line. And then you have to give them your name and social security number in order to vote, and your date of birth. Now, how many times can my vote count? The answer is only one. So what we're doing is we're creating laws for a problem that doesn't really exist. And by the way, do you remember, did you ever see the movie Superbad, Randy?
Yeah, Jonah Hill and McLovin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, McLovin.
McLovin can vote. He's got an ID.
It's true. Well, so they ask for your social.
So what kind of dumb shit are y'all really looking to make sure doesn't happen? The shit that doesn't really happen anyway? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. There's Donald Trump in a court of law, 76 lawsuits. Donald Trump in a court of law was unable to prove in 76 different lawsuits that any fraud to the level of overturning an election has happened. The end. That's the end. That's the end of the election was stolen, and that's because it didn't. And whatever. Again, whatever your unfunctional brain says is stupid and wrong. Now, if you're going to have a logical argument with somebody like, say, me, then here's what you should be saying. You know that shit when Hunter Biden's laptop was out and the American people didn't really know about it because it was being covered up by the liberal media? That should be a problem. Now, was the election stolen because of that? No. But was that a problem? Yes. Was Donald Trump attacked and vilified over something that he didn't do? Listen, I know most of you, and listen, I know for a fact that most of you who are MAGA didn't bother to read the Mueller report. You know how I know that? Because if you did, then you would say it's not that Donald Trump and his team didn't collude with Russia. It's that they were too stupid to do it. Okay? And that's not my words, by the way. That's the words of the Trump administration. They were too stupid. Let me say it one more time. They were too stupid to collude with Russia. Now, in order for them to be too stupid to collude with Russia, didn't they have to try? And the answer to that is yes. As a matter of fact, they did repeatedly. But at the end of that, there wasn't really a law against that. So we're trying to vilify Donald Trump for doing something that sounds unsavory. And I would admit to anybody, it doesn't sound like the best thing. But did anybody else hear? Who's that guy that looks like Eddie Munster's gay uncle? Ted Cruz. Did anybody hear Ted Cruz say that he got elected to serve Israel? Did anybody hear that? What? I'm sorry, what? When Zoran Mamdani took the stage, and look, I don't like Zoran Mamdani. I'm not a fan of socialist politics or anything like that. But
Same.
Every single person on stage, what's the first thing that you're going to do when what's the first thing that you're going to do if you're elected mayor of New York? And the guy said, no, the first thing that I'm going to do, George, is I'm going to go to Israel and I'm going to kiss the wall. And then the lady was like, oh, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Israel, George, and I'm going to kiss the wall. And then the next one said, well, I'm going to go to Israel. And then Zoran Mamdani comes up and he's like, fuck Israel.
God damn.
You can't even make shit like that up. He's like, I don't give a shit about Israel. I care about America. Those people were doing the same thing that they were accusing Donald Trump of doing for years. Like it's nonsense. It's all nonsense. Did the Trump administration try to collude with Russia? Yeah. Was there a law against it? No.
So to push back on two things. One is the voter fraud. You had made, I believe, the correct assertion that the fraud wasn't at a level high enough to have stolen or overturned a federal election. I believe that's 100% true.
Yes.
But there is voter fraud. I don't know and on both sides, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
I imagine that this is on local elections, I'm sure are swayed, but I feel like a lot of that's just with money. But anyway, so I like the voter ID stuff for that. I think blockchain voting would be a superior solution, but maybe we'll get there one day.
No, that would not work. You can't. They can't do that because then everybody would vote.
Don't we want people to vote?
Not if I'm Republican.
Why?
Because if everybody voted, I'd never win.
Are more people Democrats than they? I mean, there was 80 million people that didn't vote this past election, or in 2024.
So largely speaking, take out the Daniel says the cheating and fraud is being exposed. Media is not covering it. No, it's not. No, it's not. None of it is being exposed. None of it is being exposed. and none of it is being exposed. The media is not covering it. The media is owned by Jeff Bezos, who is MAGA and Republican, Mark Zuckerberg, who's come out in support of Donald Trump, meaning that he's Republican and maybe not MAGA.
When did Bezos turn Republican? Because he was very anti-Trump last election.
Jeff Bezos?
Yeah, or at least in 2017, 18.
You're doing some 2018 stuff.
That's true.
They've all become MAGA. They've all become MAGA pundits. These guys are all in on it.
I did not recognize.
The Washington Post is no longer the failing Washington Post. None of the failing things. The only one we talk about now is like NBC or MSNBC and all of that kind of shit. Okay. And here's the thing. This is how, and I'm not going to say that you're all in a cult. Okay. I'm not going to say that it's a cult. Here's what I'm going to say. If somebody says something and you believe it without evidence of it because you believe and trust that person without fact checking anything, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, and Roy G says, I saw where they show the machines glitched. Right. Because there are still technical difficulties and problems. If a machine glitches before an election and it is not used during the election, or it's fixed before the election, that machine still glitched, and that doesn't mean the election was stolen. Duh. I mean, like, are we not, like, do we not use the part of our brain that works anymore?
Well, I think there is some merit to that, because Elon Musk said that he, like, top computer guys could definitely hack into that, and you can't really hack, paper and pencil or pen. I mean, sure, like, you can try to do it the old-fashioned way with.
Then how do people get arrested daily for fake ID, for impersonating an officer, for receiving Social Security dressed like their mom, which we just had in the news not that long ago.
Or when they're dead. Yeah.
We have ID for all of that, and it still happens. Again, we're fighting a problem that doesn't exist, hoping to make it a problem that exists to the level that we can then justify stupidity.
But for the machines, though, how does that go? I mean, I get that for the voter ID, but like, how do we prevent hacking, and how do we prevent? Because like at this, like I'm not good enough with computers and code to be able to be like, yes, this wall is impenetrable, cannot be hacked, can never be hacked. How do we go and prevent hacking of some of these machines?
Oh, yeah, and look, everybody is now saying Georgia. Yeah, there's no fraud in Georgia. What you heard was that somebody didn't sign a document certifying the results of about 10,000 votes. That doesn't mean that you don't get to vote. That's the dumbest argument I've ever heard somebody make. That doesn't mean your vote doesn't count. That's stupid. Again, Arizona, there's nothing going on in Arizona. As a matter of fact, didn't we hire Magic Ninja what to do an audit of Arizona in 2020 or 2016 or 2017? And they came back and they said, it's the dumbest shit ever.
Wait, who's Magic Ninja what? I did not get that reference.
Cyber ninjas is what they were called.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
They were called cyber ninjas. And they found no evidence of the level of fraud that was going to take down the election and shit like that. Same thing in Georgia. Did they find out that whoever was supposed to sign the page at the bottom of each page didn't sign 11 pages? Yep, they sure did. Does that unvalidate 11 pages worth of votes? No, it doesn't. And if you think that it should, you're an idiot, and you're a bigger idiot than Donald Trump is at this point. That's insanity. Oh, and by the way, Georgia did require you to provide an ID in order to vote. So what else? All of these things are cult mentality. All of these things are things that a cult is being told. They're not truth.
in the, yeah, I didn't even, I'm not in the trenches enough to know even like what you guys were referencing with the Georgia and Arizona, but I
Oh yeah,
appreciate
so
the
3
lesson.
weeks ago, Donald Trump forced some people to. So first of all, Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, I love her.
That's that freak show that looks like Morticia. She went.
Understand the reference.
She went to. She's the one that hates gay people. Hates.
Does she? I feel like I've never heard her say that she hates gay people. I mean, I've only watched a couple of her interviews, but
do your own research.
What do I ask Grok?
And her husband, or not her husband, her and her father. Her father was trying to ban gays from Hawaii when he was the governor there.
How long ago was this?
What about the bruise on Trump's hand? I only saw the left talking about it. They said he will be dying soon. I don't know what the fuck that is. That's if the left is talking. What?
I heard that too.
What the fuck is
happening? So there was this guy.
How do you fall for this shit?
He's some type of nurse where he's just like, yeah, I see this on old, because he works with like he works in like this old folks home where they're all like hospice, and they're all like that, and they have bruises everywhere because they touch anything, they get bruised at that age. And like, yeah, like that's a clear sign of like dementia, and they've clearly blown out the veins in his arm, so they're having to put the IVs into the veins on his hand. And Trump again is old. I assume he just hits stuff and gets bruised all the time.
Okay.
But the guy was just like, "Yep, I'm a nurse. I know this. I see the clear signs of dementia." And like, if you didn't see it in Biden, like you're clearly not seeing any signs of dementia in Trump. Like, and every now and then, yeah, like Trump, he doesn't look that well, either sick, either super tired. So like, I get that, but I'm not seeing dementia signs. But anyway, that's
so then. Oh, you don't see dementia signs in Donald Trump? Oh, I'm sure he's demented. He's out of his goddamn mind. I'm sure. I mean, you saw the video of him shitting himself on Fox News, right?
I did not. I'm still on the Tulsi Gabbard. I'm trying to find where Tulsi Gabbard said it, so I'm like way behind here.
Tulsi Gabbard, in order to join the Democratic Party, many years ago, Tulsi Gabbard then said, "Oh, I don't think that way anymore." You'll see. You'll see. Also,
wait, because could somebody send me the video of Trump shitting himself on? I feel like I would have seen this.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll send it to you
because I need to.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is why I say you're in a cult. Okay, this is why I say you're in a cult. I can't even. I can't even make this shit up. Okay. So let's go back to Roy G. What he said. What about the bruises on Trump's hand? I only saw, quote unquote, the left talking about it. They said he will be dying soon. Now, Randy, you said, I saw one guy who was a nurse. How many people voted in the last election, in your estimation, for Kamala Harris?
70-something million people.
70 million people. So this one guy on TikTok, right? This one guy,
Instagram, TikTok, whatever, yeah,
Instagram or TikTok, said, "What about the bruises on Trump's hand? They said he will be dying soon." This one guy, out of 70 million voters, this one guy, and now this one guy is the left.
That is a fair point.
Do you see how ridiculous that is? But
out of that one guy that talked about it, you had millions of people rallying around that one guy.
No, you didn't. You had millions of people looking at the video going, LOL.
I mean, with likes, like there was like millions of likes on it. So there was obviously more people that watched it, and not everyone liked it. You know,
why do you post on X?
Why do I post on X? Yeah. Multiple reasons. There's three. One is just build a brand.
There it is. Wait, stop. That's the only one that matters. What did you do?
Okay. Build a brand. build the Chavez brand.
Are we not seeing this? The people who agree are agreeing because they know other people want people to talk shit about Donald Trump, and they're building a brand. That's not the left. That's engagement farmers.
How
The
many of
same
those
way,
were engagement?
the same way we went from I will never stop until the Epstein files are released. I will never stop until they're released. And then when Donald Trump said, why are we still talking about this? We can't be still talking about this. This is absolutely insane. You guys got to move on from that. That same group of people suddenly said, you know, maybe it's not that big a deal. What I really want is to get all the people that are in the country illegally out. I'm not really worried about that Epstein list anymore. And you guys can pretend all you goddamn want that it didn't happen and that those things didn't occur. But that's exactly what happens because cult. I'm not making this shit up. I'm just observing it. This is exactly what's happening. So your news comes from a certain source or a bubble. Their news comes from a certain source or a bubble. And that seems to be everybody's new reality. And the first thing that a fascist will tell you when they are in charge is don't trust your eyes, don't trust your ears, don't trust the people who are telling you the things that you don't want to hear. Only trust me.
I feel like the first part of that
is
good
stop
advice,
me when I'm telling lies.
Yeah. Second half of that is very concerning. I have found this is one article from NBC News saying that in 2020, when Tulsi Gabbard had announced she was running for president, she's been quoted by saying, "In my past, I said and believed things that were wrong and worse. They were very hurtful to the people in the LGBTQ community and their loved ones." And it was noted that she had worked for her father's anti-gay organization called the Alliance for Traditional Marriage in the late 90s and early 2000s. And in her apology video, Gabbard described her father as an activist who was fighting against gay rights and acknowledged the role that both she and her dad played in fighting against same-sex marriage in Hawaii. "I grew up in a socially conservative household where I was raised to believe that marriage should only be between a man and a woman," end quote. The Alliance for Traditional Marriage also supported so-called gay conversion therapy. "Many years ago, I apologized for my words and more importantly for the negative impact they had. Said I sincerely repeat my apology today. I'm deeply sorry for having said them." Whether that apology was sincere or not, whether that apology was even needed, because I believe you can be someone when you're younger and then have your views be changed and then be someone completely different years later. And even though if she worked for an organization that I feel like in the 90s and early 2000s, she's old enough where she would have still been old enough at that point where she kind of knew what she was doing. Or at least
fully
should have
developed prefrontal cortex when she was fighting against gay marriage.
So among 212 members of Congress who in 2013 filed an amicus brief encouraging the Supreme Court to strike down the 96 Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, and pave the way for federal recognition of saying, okay, so she actually defended gay rights in 2013.
That was her way. Yeah, that was her way of trying to get back into the party because of everything that had happened. That was her way of going back into the party. Was like, oh, you know what? I got to defend this right now because if I ever want to get back into politics the way that I want to be in politics, then I have to get rid of all of this.
Yeah. So you ever see what's that show with Al Bundy when he's older and the super hot Colombian chick?
Modern Family.
Yes, such a good show. The gay couple in there, Mitch and Cam,
Mitchell and Cameron.
Yeah, freaking love those guys. They are supposed to be going to a activist rally because the gay group that they were in was protesting businesses that had supported anti-gay other businesses or anti-gay, whatever. And they couldn't go because they happened to have a lunch date. They hadn't been like on a date in a while. And the date was at the place that their friends in the LGBTQ community were protesting, and like, listen, can't we just be like, support this, but also this restaurant has really, really good food. And I'm not saying that this is exactly what Tulsi's thing was, but I feel like working, and I don't know exactly what that organization did. Apparently it was very anti-gay, and the gay conversion therapy. Like, I also would have to go off and say, I don't know her dad. I don't actually know her. I just seen a bunch of interviews that she's done. But if you're somebody that was brought up in a certain way, especially like before the internet, and you're just told over and over and over again, like, hey, the Bible is all good and God is all good, and this is all good and everything else is not good, and that's a corruption, you in your heart are probably believing that you're doing the right thing. And you're probably believing that, like, hey, this is for the best. I'm like praying for their soul, even though gay conversion therapy, from what I've seen, looks retarded and awful. But in her mind, or at least in some people's minds, it'd be like, hey, this is the right thing to do, even though it's not. Stop me if I'm going too far off the rails.
No, that's you were raised a certain way, you think a certain way. I mean, that's, it's actually pretty simple. So is she better informed now, would be the question. I mean, she's on Lindsey Graham's team, so I assume that she tolerates at least some of the gays.
Lindsey Graham, I feel like is that, oh wait, is he?
That's that Southern Belle from South Carolina.
I'm surprised he's not. I mean, I feel like he fits the mold for old and white Republican. That it would be. Was that a joke that you did? That he's yeah. Gotcha. He's a single Southern man who just has never had the time to get married. You know what I mean? I see that now. I'm on his Wikipedia.
Also, I have never had the time to engage in relations with a woman.
I see. There's no
and there's been multiple men who have come out before and said, look, I met him on Grindr, Damn,
Grindr outing him, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Lindsey Graham. He's just trying to find love. He's just trying to get that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find love in your butthole. Can I investigate?
Not the booty hole.
I'm trying to get some meat hole in the bee hole. You know what I mean?
Look at him on the podcast. Just found out last week Scott Bessent has a husband. Does he?
Yeah, he sure does. Yeah.
I'm learning so much on this stream. Let's Wikipedia this. He is the spouse is John Freeman.
Yeah.
Since 2011. But John Freeman does not have a Wikipedia. I guess he's not that famous. The more you know. So what do you think about this? This is kind of an old thing. What do you think about aliens? What do you think about the fact that one of the old presidents of the Bank of London is an senior analyst at the Bank of London, has said, yeah, we have to prepare for when Trump announces that they're in contact with aliens.
Yeah, she said some she has a bunch of times said wackadoo shit over the course of her career. So I didn't put any value into it when she said it. And I don't put any value into it right now.
Gotcha.
It's just some nonsense.
Understand. I want to believe. I hope it's out there. I hope they come in and they can fix my freaking back, and they can fix my shoulder and my knees and my hips. That would, God, what I would.
I think I said it before. I'm sure that there's life out there, but it is the hubris of humanity to think that they give a shit what we're doing.
I mean,
you're doing it right now. I assure you, you're doing it right now. You're trying to validate in your mind. Wait a minute. human race is worth looking into. If I'm an alien, if I was an alien, I'd be looking at us because we're kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Any life form, any conscious life form, like,
We're not even, we're
we
not
can't
even
have conversation.
we're not even planet hopping.
Yeah. But like, if let's say if you had the powers of like Superman, and you had the power and the intelligence of like Brainiac, right? And wouldn't you still be curious? Like, I wonder what developed over here. I wonder how it developed. Like, I wonder what they do. They have entertainment. Like, even if it's not like conscious. Like, I just like animals, but ants are cool to watch. People have ant farms. People like.
All right. So let me ask you this question.
Yeet.
Why would I spend all the money to do that? That's stupid.
Well, again, if you're this super hyper advanced race of beings, I don't know, and you don't. Money's not really an object.
You're trying to make up the argument to make Earth seem like, hey, if I had any money at all, it would be worth it for me to find out what's going on Earth. Again, I'm going to say it again. It's human hubris that makes us think that somebody gives a shit what we're doing.
I feel like you're also putting a lot of essence on like money, where if they're super hyper advanced, it might cost them next to nothing to send something out here or even themselves out here.
Okay, then the question would be, does physics work differently in the rest of the galaxy? The only thing that we've established is Einstein's spooky mathematics, quantum entanglement. But after that, we still have to have energy. We still have to have resources. We still have to do things. There's no way. It's no. At best, the way that I would see this is at best, at very best, one day it will happen. One day, but if we were in that realm, the closest habitable planet to us is 4.3 light years away. Is that right? The closest planet to us is 4.3 light years away. Otherwise, and by the way, we found no life there. And we do, I think it's called Alpha Centauri. And we scan it all the time looking for signs of life. And we're not finding them. So, and by the way, if you remember going back to some of the conversations, the most important thing to me was what one of the guys said during the interrogatories he said that we found biologics, right? That's what he said.
Non-human biologicals.
Right. So they found a cat or a dog or an ape.
But why are you assuming that it's like a random like raccoon type of small animal as opposed to like
because it's funnier that way.
I mean, I guess we don't know, but I would like to assume that it's
but we do know. But we do know when we do shit that's shady, and we do it in the privacy of our own Area 51. Then what we do is the first thing that we do is we send up animals into space, right?
Yeah. Oh, the dog and the monkey and yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see where you're going. So you think that's what
if we're testing technology, we want to see how it handles life forms. So it would be my estimation that the things that we found that have crashed are going to be Chinese in nature, Russian in nature, maybe Indian in nature. I don't think that it's going to be beyond the major countries. But, you know, we had aliens a couple years ago, right? Oh, yeah, it was a weather balloon from China that just so happened to have cameras watching our places, to see what it is that we were doing, to see movements and shit like that. And look, if there are also, by the way, I saw that thing with the Tic Tac. Remember the Tic Tac with the Navy?
Yeah, yeah.
And then they used AI to analyze it. And AI said the only reason it seems like it's moving that fast is because it's from such a distance that it looks that way. It wasn't actually moving as fast as this guy was saying, because it just doesn't work that way. And
I did not see that.
Yeah, I would go, here's what you should do. And I'm not saying that AI is going to give you all the answers, but I mean, just go ask AI to break down a lot of these different things, and you will see that the reason that I say that is because I do it, because I want to know if it's real or not. And by the way, just for full disclosure, I don't go into it thinking that there are no aliens. I go into it thinking I want to argue it to the point that the AI has to really break this shit down and, tell me, is this real or could this be real and stuff like that. And then I argue with AI over whether or not they're giving me the answer I want or the answer that I'm supposed to be getting, or, shit like that. I always ask Grok, has Elon reprogrammed you in some way? And then when Grok says no, then I say, but this update over here did this, and your answer at this time was this, and now it's this. Why did you change your answer? And he's like, oh, good find. Yeah, we did have a little programming stuff.
Mm.
And I've done that multiple times.
Do you tell your chat bot that you thank it and appreciate it?
I do. As a matter of fact, I do.
Good man. Good man. I do that as well. And just in case. And did I ask you about the ask it, like the prompt of the generate an image based on our relationship?
Yeah, I did one the other day.
Okay. It was good. Saw you as friends. Okay, good.
We can't even find Nancy Guthrie. Yeah, but the guys that we couldn't find her with killed themselves when the police showed up. So what does that tell you?
Something stuff.
Means whatever we think they did, they did.
Yes. Yeah, very sus. So that's another sus thing. The Pokemon Go stop. Well, Pokemon Go took away their Pokestop from Epstein's Island, but that doesn't mean that we don't have all of the data of everyone that was at the Pokestop. So I feel like it's only a matter of time before the US tries to go to Japan and be like, hey guys, we need the data on who is on Epstein's Island. I mean, they probably already know, they probably already have it in the files, but Pokemon could just do something really cool and they could just release all of that data. Although we would have to go in and say all the hackers that wanted to just get Pokemon from that island that weren't actually there, there's probably a lot of that too. You have to, maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know.
I don't think I care.
I want to know who's on the island.
No, I want to know who's on the island. And by the way, here's what I would say to that. If you watch the Epstein documentary on Netflix, most of the shit was happening at his hacienda in West Palm Beach, where him and Donald Trump were neighbors. And by the way, that doesn't mean Donald Trump did anything. It just means that they were neighbors. So anybody who wanted to do anything, they didn't have to go to an island. They could just go to Epstein's house in West Palm Beach.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he had, I think he had a ranch in Arizona as well. So, I mean, you could go
properties everywhere.
We put a lot. So in the same way that, we were going, do you remember, by the way, Pizzagate?
Vaguely. I know the reference. It's from like 2017 or something. And
yeah, hot dogs and pizza, and they had up this, like they faked this entire list of stuff that people said and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that the children were being held in the basement of Comet, Ping Pong, and Pizza. That's what the end of it was. That the children were being held in the basement of Comet Ping Pong and Pizza. And then a guy took an AR-15 and went to Comet Ping Pong and Pizza and demanded access to the basement.
Did you find anything?
Yeah, he found out there was no basement.
Okay, all right. See, this is one of those things where I believe that guy heart was in the right place, you know, thinking that he's going to rescue these children.
It's not about his heart being in the right place, because yes, his heart was in the right place. He wanted to go save some children that the people of MAGA spent months lying to him about that it existed. At what point do we start to hold a cult leader accountable for what the cult does?
I don't know. I guess it depends on the severity of stuff, how much influence they actually have on it.
Sounds like it was horrible. There are all these kids are in the basement of this, and they're letting people do this. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, it sounds horrible. I mean, who is the major ones that were like passing around this misinformation?
I'm just kidding. On January 6th, they were in the basement of the Capitol. That's where it was.
Okay, see, I did not get that. I was
no, that's not true at all. My point is, when do we hold a cult leader accountable for what happens with the cult?
I mean, it's hard, because I mean, if you take a look at some examples on that day, and you have some police that were attacked, you have the people that were kicking doors down, and they were.
You have some police that also let people in.
Yes, so that's the other side of that coin. You have the people that are kicking doors down, and then you have the police that was like, okay, come on in. And then there are a lot of people in there just walking and taking pictures. I would say most of the people were there doing that, but
because the police are also voters, and they're also human. And some of them are Democrats, and some of them are Republicans, and some of them are leftist trans idiots who dress up like little girls when they get off work. And some of them are retarded, and they dress like MAGA when they get off work, and they put their red hat on. But in order for me to forward my lie, and in order for me to forward my narrative, what I have to make you believe is that everybody not in my cult is all in a different cult. If we scroll back a little while, we go back to one guy out of 70 million said Donald Trump has a bruise on his hand. It must mean he's dying. And we turned that into the left. We turned that into 70 million people by virtue of cult.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I will still defend the point that it was one person, but it was shared by a bunch of millions of people. And yes, were a lot of those people that were trying to building their brand. But there was a couple of people that shared that with me that had like no internet presence at all. Like, did you see this? And then I was like, yes, you're like the third person to send it to me.
Well, because there are people that don't give a shit one way or another, but they're not getting their information. They're not getting their news. They didn't share the news from somebody with no views. They shared it because they're following somebody who got 500,000 or 1 million views or 10 million views for the same stupid thing. That doesn't mean that they weren't farming for engagement.
That is fair. That's matter. I love you guys.
I saw it on David Pakman YouTube. I think I've seen David Pakman before. He's like a weird little squirrely guy that like he looks like he weighs like 38 pounds. Like he's just this little tiny guy that talks like he's one of those guys that to me sound like he just tries to use big words to make himself seem smart. And I think his argument was always, I just deal in the facts. I don't deal in the feelings, or something like that. He posts
a lot. It's like 5 videos in like a day, all about Trump. So even if he doesn't believe half the stuff, he knows it gets views. So
yeah, I think he's in Chicago too. I think I could go to his studio. Hold on.
I mean, I have seen this with a lot of, and maybe this is why I don't get the views, but like I've seen a lot of other people go at like this one, like GOP panics as Trump could cost them everything. It's like, that's such a clickbaity title, and I see so many other people with like those click, and I'll just never do that.
Oh no, he's in Massachusetts or something. Never mind. There's a lot of these guys that do this kind of stuff that are here in Chicago with me. Like I've seen Harry Sisson, I think is Chicago, and then I think like all of the young millennial, whatever they're called nowadays. I don't fucking know.
Zoomers.
But whatever they are, like I think Parker get a job. Adam Mockler.
I don't know any of these guys.
I think all these guys are from Chicago or in Chicago. I started a political channel, by the way.
What is it called?
Bleeves in Democracy.
Is it on the YouTube, or is it just on?
I haven't released the video yet. I just created the channel the other day.
Nice. So you're doing a bunch of stuff. You're doing the get in shape stuff, the fitness, the political channel, and then the crypto channel. This is why so many channels at once?
Why not just live your passion?
Your passion's in 3 different things. Your
passions can be everywhere.
Yeah.
I like talking about democracy. I like talking about politics. I don't want to run for office, but I like talking about it. So why not see if I can make something out of that? I like working out. Why not see if I can make something out of that? I like trading crypto. Why not see if I can make something out of that? I like the Chicago Bears. Why not see if I can make something out of that?
I like Pokemon, and I made a lot of money with that.
Out of it.
I made a ton of money at that back in the day. That was such a, oh god, that was so much fun. That was great. That was I might do it again soon. I gotta wait for some things to sell and some companies to raise money, but I can't wait. Has there been any bit of crypto? Has there been any things that you've taken a look at that's like, this seems under the radar, and not yet?
No. As a matter of fact, I'm not really looking for anything new. I'm looking for all the things that I thought good about, like DEVVE and like DEFINITY. I'm looking for them to make a move.
DEFINITY is more just like a cash cow now than anything. They just it hasn't translated to the price. They haven't really done the market. I think they'll have a yeah, they have a couple things coming out. It's one, I don't know if people are going to really understand. I'll tell you about it off air, and then the other, yeah. I mean, we'll see if it translates to buys. I mean, the company's doing fantastic, so that's great.
And you know what? At the end of March, I think they're going to get a really nice, because the reality of what they're doing, midnight launches at the end of March, so they're going to be live and ready to go in a month and a half, and it's going to matter, or at least I think it is anyway.
I think so too. They wanted, yeah, they have a couple of other names to get and release, I think, before the end of the year, announcements of that, and hopefully the press release will include the Infinity token. We shall see. Anyway, anything you want to go over before we talk off air a little bit?
Nah.
Thank you, Raphael, for reposting the stream. A man, Raphael G. Not 100% sure who he is because that's a picture of a plant, but we appreciate you. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi, and thank you, Bleeves, for coming here today. This has been awesome.